Hello, my name is Cassandra Crawford Ciglar. I am one of the career coaches for the Center for Career Development and Professional Engagement. This afternoon, we're going to have a presentation that focuses on professionalism. So let's get started. Today's topics are going to focus on ethics, and then we're going to talk about email etiquette, social media etiquette, classroom and professional etiquette, and then finally finishing up the presentation talking about dressing for success. So let's start out when we talk about professionalism. First, let's talk about ethics. What are ethics and how does that tie in with professionalism? First of all, ethics is a moral standard of right and wrong. Ethics is at the heart of professionalism, and for every individual, no matter what profession you go into, ethics is going to guide you throughout your professional career. Ethics is your values. It has to do with honesty, your principles, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, and we're going to talk about 3 different ways that you can look at ethics. When you have to go and make an ethical choice, there are levels of ethical decisions. First and foremost, there's the law that can guide you in ethical decisions. And again, it doesn't matter what profession that you go into, whether we're talking about health professions, business, law, civil engineering, whether it's legal or if it's illegal, you have that to guide you. Obviously, if it is against the law, then that is unethical. So those are ways to guide you in making ethical choices whenever you are a working professional. We're not just talking about being a working professional, because the second that you become a student in college, the second that you begin your career at TU, you have opportunities to be out in the professional arena representing not only yourself, but representing the University of Tulsa. You have opportunities to be volunteering through True Blue Neighbors. You have the opportunities through your programs to do experiential learning, clinical opportunities, and internships. All of these opportunities put you in a professional arena where you will be making ethical decisions that represent yourself moving forward as a professional. Every time that you make a decision in how you're going to act, you have to decide, am I going to behave ethically? You should always use the law to guide your decision. If it's illegal, those are the decisions that you definitely want to make sure you follow and that you do not do anything that is against the law. The next thing that we do to guide our decisions in the professional arena is fairness. We want to make sure that we treat individuals that we interact with in the professional arena, again, whether we're working in a nonprofit arena, whether we're working in a clinical setting, or whether we're working in the community, that we make sure we treat all parties the same, that we are fair to each individual. So it doesn't matter what background someone has, whether someone is from a high socioeconomic status or someone comes from an impoverished socioeconomic status. An ethical decision is that each individual that you interact with, you treat those individuals the exact same way. That is making an ethical decision and being fair to each individual. And finally, the last thing that guides you in making ethical decisions is your own conscience. A behavior may be legal, it may be fair to others, but it still might make you feel uneasy or a little guilty. It may be that little gut feeling that you have rumbling inside and you're thinking, I still don't feel quite right about this. In those instances, It might be unethical. So you might want to have that little gut check. Have this little video for you to watch. It kind of talks about that gut check. So we're going to watch this real quick and kind of talk about it here in just a second.
You're not just gonna let him die like that.
My shoulder, Angel.
Don't listen to that guy. He's trying to lead you down the path of righteousness. I'm going to lead you down the path that rocks.
Oh, come off it.
You come on, man.
You.
You would finish it. That's enough, big guy. I got 3 good reasons why you should just walk away. Number 1, look at that guy. He's got that sissy stringy music thing.
We've been through this. It's a heart, and you know it.
All right, that's a heart, and that's a dress.
Rome.
Reason number 2. Look what I can do.
But what does that have to do with me?
No. He's got a point.
Listen, you guys. You're sort of confusing me. So, be gone. Or, you know, however I get rid of you guys.
That'll work.
So that film, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, that's a little clip from The Emperor's New Groove. And we like to show that when we're talking about ethical behavior because that is Kronk's shoulder angel and shoulder devil. And we often, talk about the angel on our shoulder and the devil on our shoulder when we talk about making ethical decisions. So although it's a humorous little clip, that kind of is that other way when we talk about making an ethical decision, listening to those voices, the angel on your shoulder, or in reference to the not so nice person on your shoulder. So again, when you make ethical decisions, that is another way to think about, am I making the best decision for the situation? So let's talk about the why. Why are ethics important in professionalism? You can see that this slide I have listed why are ethics important in healthcare. This is applicable to any profession. Why are ethics important anywhere? Specifically for healthcare, it's important because you are supposed to meet patient expectations. You have to use ethics to address the health needs of your community. When you use ethics, you enhance quality care. It helps enhance organization and cultural practices. It helps improve staff morale and performance. And especially in a healthcare setting, it allows us to enhance an organization's compliance to country-based regulatory standards. Now, if I take away where it says, why is ethics important to healthcare, and I switch out a few words, this applies to any profession. Ethics is important across industry standard when we're talking about interacting in the community, interacting in business. It's to meet client expectations. It's to meet the needs of the community. It's to enhance quality care, to foster professionalism, to enhance any organizations and cultural practices, to improve staff morale and performance. And there are multiple organizations that have regulatory standards and compliances that they have to meet. So regardless of what your profession is, ethics is essential, and you want to make sure that you utilize the ethics that you have so that when you are a working professional, that you utilize those to enhance your professional career for yourself and for the company that you work for. That's the why. How? How do we use ethics? We use ethics to respect others. When you respect others, it shows genuinely, and then that respect comes back to you. It's a full circle. You want to be fair, as I just mentioned. We treat everyone the same, regardless of the situation. Ethics allows us to do no harm in any kind of situation. And ethics helps us make things better. Whether we're in health professions or engineering or business, when you work ethically, it allows you to improve the situation that you're working on. It allows you to help a patient. It allows you to work with someone in the community and improve the situation. So how you use ethics impacts your professional career. Ethics then flows into your life as a student. Ethics starts as a student, moves into internships, and then flows into your professional career. That's why we start talking about ethics now while you're here as a student at the University of Tulsa. It's applicable throughout your professional career. Ethics is the root of who you are. When you have ethics, you have to utilize those in your communications. You have to utilize those in your daily interactions, and you have to utilize those when you're out in the workforce in your interactions, whether you are an intern or whether you are a working professional. So ethics are going to allow you to communicate with individuals respectfully. So as a working individual, especially now in this environment that we have because of the coronavirus, we are communicating even more than before digitally than we were previously. Email etiquette is super important that you use it appropriately. You want to make sure that you use streamlined communication, that your requests are clear and concise, and you give enough information that the individual that you are sending an email to understands what it is that you are requesting. You want to make emails short and sweet. You want to be polite. If you do a reply all, we'll talk about those situations. You want to make sure that you use a descriptive subject. It helps you have searchable emails, and you want to make sure your email is organized. As students at the University of Tulsa, we highly encourage you to use your university email. Your university email has a professional email account. So your name is on there and it's professional and representative of yourself. It's not something that looks unprofessional. When you send an email to someone, you want to use a formal salutation. You do not want to open your email with hey or hiya. That is absolutely not a formal salutation. An email is a formal communication. This is not Snapchat. This is not a text. This is not a social media platform. So you want to make sure that your email communications are absolutely professional. So unless you have been invited to use the individual's first name, it is best to address the person that you're talking to by his or her title. You may use dear Dr., Ms., Mr., Mrs., or Professor. And I highly encourage you to make certain that you use the correct title, especially when we're talking about academia. If you are interacting with someone who is a professor, you want to use their appropriate title. So if you have someone who is a doctor, you want to use that title when you are addressing them. You want to check those things also whenever you are emailing individuals out in the community. When you are emailing someone For a job description, make sure you email with the correct title. Subject lines. When you're emailing someone, especially on campus, everybody gets a lot of emails every day. Students get a lot of emails every day. If you don't have a strong subject line, it's very easy to lose the email and not know where it went, or it can end up in the trash file and you're never able to find it ever again. And then you wish that you knew where it was and you can't search for it. Have a strong subject line. So when you are writing a professor, they're able to make the connections on what it refers to, and they can make the connection. Include your name, what class it is, and maybe perhaps even the day and time or the section number. This will help the professor make the connection if they need to go back and reference your email and find it. You definitely want to be polite in any email communication that you send, whether it's to a professor or a potential job that you're applying for, or a volunteer experience. Always, always be polite. Please and thank yous go a long way, just like your mom and dad have always told you. You want to have a strong email signature. From here on moving forward, you want to have that email signature at the bottom of your email, which you can set up right now. You want to have your name, your major, your school, the University of Tulsa. You can even list your expected graduation year. That shows a level of professionalism. Any email communication that you're sending out, the person that you're interacting with will have an idea of who you are, where you're from, what your major is, and that gives you a lot of credibility when you are interacting with them. Do not send emails in all caps. It is definitely considered unprofessional. It's considered shouting. You do not want to come across that way. It kind of comes along the lines of also being polite. So you don't want to come across as a person who is being demanding. You don't want to come across as a person who is being rude. Be short, be sweet, get to the point. Don't beat around the bush. You want to let whoever you are whoever you're sending your email to know what it is that you're asking. So when I say be direct, I mean be direct and get to the point. If you are sending an email to a professor, to an internship director, to someone who's heading up your volunteer program, or you're sending something to a potential place for employment, be polite, be respectful, but get to the point. And then proofread, 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 and proofread again. I cannot tell you how important it is that emails are a professional communication, and you want to proofread your messages. These are not going to come across well. You're not going to represent yourself well if you have not taken the time to utilize the spell check that is available in your email communication. And it's not going to come across well if you are using jargon from texting, and if you use abbreviations. So take the time to write an appropriate, well-written email and proofread it. If you're concerned about your email, you can always cut it, paste it into a Word doc, and do a grammar and spell check, and then paste it back into your email. That's one tip I have for you. Another one that I have for you is read it out loud. When you read things out loud, you catch things that you don't normally catch whenever you're just going over it and looking at it just with your eyes. And then the third tip I have for you is have somebody else, just have one person read your email. It always helps to have a second set of eyes on it. If it's something private, you obviously want to have somebody who you trust look at the email for you. So here is an example for you of an email from a student that would be a what not to do. So the email has a vague subject line, freshman engineering. It would be better if we knew what freshman engineering it was. So if it was engineering 1001, and we put like Mondays at 9 a.m. The introduction to the email is very casual. There are also no capitalizations. There's no punctuation throughout this email at all. And it starts off with a professor. So as you can see, there are multiple issues throughout this email that needs to be addressed. And then the request itself, I'm not understanding the homework at all. Okay. What homework is it? What homework are you not understanding? Was it the homework from the first week of class? Was it the homework assignment from today? How is the professor supposed to address this? Remember, your professor's time is just as valuable as yours. So when you're asking for assistance, make sure that you are super specific about what you're asking for assistance for, because that's going to go a long way, not only while you're a student, but it will go a long way as you go throughout your professional career. You want to make sure that you communicate when you are having challenges. This is what I'm not understanding. How can you provide me assistance with what I am having struggles with? So we're going to shift from email etiquette to social media etiquette. The reason that we talk about social media etiquette and professionalism is that social media is pervasive in our lives. It is a medium that everyone uses. Normally, when I present this presentation in a live audience, I ask individuals how many different social media accounts they have. And I have had some people raise their hands and say they have as many as 9 different social media accounts. So what I will say is that that shows us how much social media has grown in our lives and how important these next several tips that I'm going to talk about are to enact in our lives, because social media will be relevant throughout as being a student and whenever you are searching for a job and while you are a working professional. So these are the 6 common mistakes that individuals make on social media. I'm probably going to think of a couple of other things as I'm going through these. So I'm going to start and go through these. First is privacy settings. And when I talk about privacy settings, whether we're talking about Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, there's a couple of different things when I say about the privacy settings. Some people don't use the privacy settings, and other people make mistakes of trusting the privacy settings too much. So that's a double-edged sword. And when I say using the privacy settings is you want to make sure, no matter what social media setting you're using, is that you do a regular checkup on your social media account and that you have privacy settings enacted and that you keep a checkup on it quite often so that your account is as private as that you want it to be. And don't trust that it's always going to be that way, because Facebook regularly does updates that changes things around, as does Instagram. So you want to make sure that those settings are set up the way that you want them to be. Inappropriate topics. You want to make sure that you keep topics neutral, that you are posting on any site, whether we're talking about Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Each medium, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, they all kind of have their own different field for how people post things. Obviously, LinkedIn is more business driven. Twitter has its own feel of how people interact as well. Facebook, we know that most students really aren't on there and unless they're trying to interact with their parents or older individuals. They don't tend to get on there very much. Instagram, more sharing photos and those kinds of things. And then Snapchat really is the communication form for students who are in high school and in college. And if there's any other new ones, then that tells you that I definitely do not know what those are, and I probably have to go and ask my children. So keeping topics neutral is very essential because anything that you post out there is searchable. So I'm going to flip back to the privacy settings. You can trust the privacy settings, but only so far. You may have your social media accounts, what you think is locked down as tight as a drum, but who you know may be someone that has access to your accounts, and if you post something that is controversial or you share something that is controversial, that could end up coming back to be a problem with you whenever you apply for an internship or for a job. So you want to make sure that your topics are appropriate. And if that person happens to know your future employer, that information can still get shared. Using poor grammar or poor spelling, again, those are things you think, well, it's just my social media account. It really doesn't matter. It still matters because social media, be it Facebook, LinkedIn, especially LinkedIn being a professional site, Twitter, when you are applying for a job, especially, you are going to have individuals, job managers searching your social media sites. So make sure that, going back to your privacy settings, make sure your topics are neutral, make sure you have things posted that are appropriate, spelled appropriately, that you haven't shared anything inappropriate, your posts are not inappropriate. You don't want to delete your social media because a lot of headhunters and job managers actually will not look at individuals if they don't have any social media. They want to be able to get a feel for the individuals that they're trying to hire. And if they don't have any social media at all, that's going to cause them to raise an eyebrow, because we know in this digital age, most people have some kind of social media of some kind. So don't delete your social media. If you have it, just make sure that you definitely have it cleaned up. Don't share inappropriate content, reshare inappropriate content, anything that's sensitive or something that you shouldn't be sharing, and especially confidential information. When we talk about confidential information, being a healthcare professional, this is one that is very important. You have seen people be fired from their jobs for sharing confidential information. You don't take pictures inside your workplace. You don't trash your workplace and put it on social media. These are things that are guaranteed to get you fired almost instantly in this day and age. So confidential information is not shared. You don't take pictures of HIPAA or FERPA information and post it out there. It's kind of just, it's like that you don't talk about it in person, and you sure as absolutely do not want to say anything about it on social media. Because once you put it out there, it's out there. You may think you may be able to delete it, but all it takes is one person to screenshot that, and then it's there and it's being able to be shared forever. So no sharing personal confidential information. So we kind of like to do little memes in our office in the Center for Career Development and Professional Engagement. This one I feel like is super appropriate. You can keep my private life confidential. That would be great. This is definitely relevant. You want to keep your private life as confidential as possible, and you want to respect other individuals' private lives as well. So use social media cautiously. I know that we all like our social media, but you want to use it in the medium that you make sure that you are using it though so that it is beneficial to you. That is how I would say to use social media. Use it to promote yourself, to help yourself get those jobs that you want to have. We have Handshake. We have LinkedIn. These are professional networking sites that we have that we can use and promote ourselves so that we can network and find other professionals in our same career areas and help find jobs. So let's shift gears and talk about classroom and professional etiquette. I like to talk about this kind of in tandem because obviously I'm talking to students currently at the University of Tulsa. If you're an alumni, this will kind of resonate with you as a working professional. But I want to hit this with you as a student talking about classroom, and I'm going to also tie this into students who might be going out into internships. And just so you know, even as a career coach, I talk to students about this. I spent many years preparing students going out into internships. So I consider this next bit of information very essential when we're talking about professionalism. When you are a student, when you are an intern, when you're an intern heading to an internship site, when you are heading to a job interview or a volunteer site, when you have committed to be somewhere, you want to arrive on time. When you are a student, you've signed up to be at class. And that, what I tell my students is your job is to be a student and you should be there and be on time. Plan for traffic, plan for parking, plan for delays. If you know that they're doing road construction on the Broken Arrow Expressway and you're a commuter, then you need to plan on that. What's your alternate route? Do you know that it's going to be backed up for 20 minutes? Then you need to make arrangements for that every single morning so that you arrive to class on time. It is rude, it is disruptive, and it is unprofessional to show up late. In the event of an emergency, which we know that those happen, notify someone, your professor, your employer, of the situation. Emergencies do happen, but those are the exceptions to the rule. It's unprofessional when it happens day after day after day. As a student from the University of Tulsa, you are the best of the best, and you're learning in your discipline to head out into the workforce to be that professional that industry wants to hire. And these skill sets that you're learning is also levels of professionalism. So we want to make sure that not only are you learning the knowledge, but we want to make sure that you learn the other skills that employers want you to have. And professionalism is that other part. So plan to be on time. Similarly, don't ask to leave early unless it's a crisis. Again, we know that a crisis happens, but a crisis is not going to be every day. When you are a student, when you're an intern, whenever you have a job, you are expected to be somewhere from a certain set of time. Plan to be there, commit. This is what you have signed up to do. So don't ask to leave early, plan to be there the entire time, and be engaged. Be invested in what you have signed up for. Put your cell phones away, turn them off, be present in the moment and pay attention. You absolutely never know what you're going to learn in the classroom, at the internship site, or on the job unless you engage fully in the moment. Make eye contact. This kind of goes back to the engaging. Your expectations, it's not just being as a student. Your expectations, whether you're a student, a learner, or in the workforce, are to be present, to pay attention, to learn. The learning never stops. I've been a working professional for 20 plus years, and I haven't stopped learning. I continue to learn all of the time. So for you, those of you just starting your journey as a student, know that it's going to continue. Be present and engage. But the only way you're going to learn is if you do that. Be positive. Keep an open mind and don't jump to conclusions. We all have bias. It's natural. But when you go into a setting, you want to make sure that you try to put those bias to the side and keep an open mind, especially as a student and an intern. When you're representing the University of Tulsa, you want to be positive in those settings, and you want to keep an open mind. The individuals who are teaching you, who are mentoring you, who are your preceptors, they're there as the experts in their field to teach you. So keep an open mind, do not jump to conclusions, and make sure that you are open and receptive to what they have to teach you. Again, they're the experts in their field, and they're taking the time to teach you each and every day about their professions. There it is again, be fair. Treat everyone like you want to be treated. Be kind and considerate, patient and honest and trustworthy. Finally, you want to contribute and collaborate. This is really essential whenever you talk about being professional. You want to put your ideas into play, but you want to be respectful about it. There's lots of ways to collaborate and contribute in the workplace. If you are someone who likes to speak up, do so, but there's ways to do it and there's times to do it. And so learning when that is part of growing in the workplace. And if you're someone who's a little shy and you don't feel comfortable speaking up, you can always write an email and try to contribute and collaborate that way to share your ideas if you're not comfortable speaking up in a group environment. Other ways to grow is seek feedback. You want to accept suggestions for improvement and constructive criticism. This is really hard, I will tell you truthfully. No one likes to be quote unquote criticized, but constructive criticism helps in growth. And as a student, as an intern, and even as a working professional, you want to be open to constructive criticism, which is going to allow you to grow professionally and get professional improvement so that you can move on to that next level. Know that constructive criticism is not an attack on you personally. It is not meaning that you are doing something wrong. What constructive criticism is giving you feedback. It's telling you, you are doing these things, you are doing these things well. This is how you can improve on what you already know and what you're already doing, and how you can do things even better to succeed and grow more. Keep that in mind. That is what constructive criticism really is. It is not harmful or an attack on you. You want to enhance your effectiveness. You want to continually grow, improve skills, and acquire new knowledge. Learning never stops. So what that means is, for you students just now starting out, is that your journey at the University of Tulsa is not going to be the end once you graduate. You will continue to acquire knowledge after you leave the University of Tulsa, and you will acquire new skills in your workplace setting, and you will continue to grow in your knowledge and expand. For those of you who are alumni, who are listening to this, you have opportunities in your workplace setting to acquire skills and new knowledge and expand on your professional growth opportunities. And that's going to allow you to be even more effective in the workplace. It may allow you to pivot into a new career or a different area in your workplace. That's going to allow you to be more effective and help your professional environment. Finally, you want to dress for the occasion. And what I say by dressing for the occasion is, this is going to be different depending on what we're talking about. If we're talking about an interview, you want to dress for an interview. For women, this could be a mid-length skirt or a pantsuit. Men should be choosing a well-fitting dark suit, and they should have shirts and they should have ties. Everything should be pressed, everything should be neat. If we are talking about dressing for the occasion for just the workplace setting, what I will tell you is it depends on the work company culture. So when you're interviewing for a job, you want to make sure that the place that you're interviewing for, you kind of do your homework and know, what is the company culture where I'm interviewing? Is this a place, first and foremost, that my skill set meets the job requirements? And is this a place where I feel like I'm going to fit well into the company culture? And kind of what is the dress requirements going to be? If this is a health profession setting, there's likely going to be some kind of uniform that's going to be required. Same could be for business and sales. Same could be for some kind of engineering place as well. You may be required to wear a hard hat and eye protection all day long. So know what the dress is and know if that's something that you are going to be okay with. Always dress for the occasion, whatever it is, whether we're talking from the interview or for the day-to-day setting in the job. Which then ties me into dressing for success. At an interview, first impressions matter. The very first impressions you make at a job interview are going to be made through your visual appearance. Whether you are doing them face-to-face or whether you are doing them through a virtual setting, your first impressions are going to be made through your visual appearance. You need to know the dress code, and you need to know what the dress expectations are for any setting that you are going to. And if you don't know, it is okay to ask. So, as I said, dressing for success, this is a nice little handout that shows what business professional is versus business casual. On the first impressions, your clothes should be tailored. They should be in good condition, wrinkle-free. Your shoes should be nice and neat, polished up, no scuffs. Your hair should be well-groomed. Ladies' nails and makeup should be in kind of a natural style, kind of neutral. It's not going to be something that you would wear out for a night out on the town. Jewelry and fragrance you want to keep to a minimum. It doesn't want to be something where when you walk into the room that they smell your perfume before you even enter into the room. Piercings and tattoos. I really like to go over this before someone goes to a job interview, piercings and tattoos should be covered for your first job interview. As I mentioned, talking about aligning with the customary standards of the culture of the company that you're interviewing for, piercings and tattoos are fine. You want to make sure that if you have those, and those are important to you, that you check with the company that you're interviewing with, that you can have those and that you don't have to cover them up for the job in a day-to-day setting. But at your first interview, you want to make sure that those are covered and that you don't have any piercings showing at your initial interview. But again, do your homework. If that's important to you and you want to be able to have those showing visibly during your day-to-day work environment, just do your homework and make sure that that's something that's going to be okay. Things that are not okay to wear in a day-to-day setting: jeans, unless it's permitted by the boss, shorts, tank tops, flip-flops, baseball caps. These are things that are not considered business casual. The other thing that we like to cover as far as professionalism is casual Friday. A lot of businesses have casual Friday, but it is definitely not a carte blanche to dress as you wish. No matter what your dress code is at your company, you have to keep in mind that there may be high profile clients that could walk in at any moment that you're going to have to interact with, or you could get called into a meeting into the president's office at any moment. So you always want to make sure that you are presentable even on casual Friday. This wraps up everything that I have to discuss with you today on professionalism. I want to go over briefly the services that we offer at the Center for Career Development and Professional Engagement. The career coaches offer for you career exploration and assessments. We're able to assist you with resume and cover letter review. We provide individual career coaching, and this is available for students. This is available for alumni. So whether you are a current student at TU or whether you are an alumni and you graduated 10 years ago, this is a service that is available to you forever as a benefit from being from the University of Tulsa. We help with internships, finding those, and job searching. Know that the resource handshake is your best friend whenever we go for looking for these things. We help you with interview preparation and mock interviews. We have multiple networking opportunities, events that we put on, whether they are live and face-to-face or virtual events. We provide mentoring assistance. We have partnered with the University of Tulsa Alumni Office, and they have the UTulsa Connect platform that helps provide mentoring assistance, matching up students with alumni who are in their fields and can provide mentoring in the same profession that you're interested in. We host on-campus employer events and interviews, and then we also help students in that last phase of the job search whenever you've been offered that job, and we help you find employer statistics and salary information, so helping you with salary negotiations so that you are able to make a good informed, so you have good informed information whenever you get that first job offer. You can follow us on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We have multiple virtual events upcoming. You can check them on Handshake for a full list of the virtual events and live events that will be upcoming this fall. We have multiple this summer as well as far as virtual events. If you want to contact us, you can contact us at canecareers.com. And if you happened to have learned anything interesting in this presentation today, or if you want to contact me, my email address is listed here at the bottom, Cassandra-Crawford-Ciglar@utulsa.edu. But I ask that you take out your phones and scan this QR code and take this quick survey to give us a little bit of feedback. And I look forward to seeing you at the next presentation.